My name was Susan Miller, and I was 68 years old when my life turned upside down again. It all started on my 45th birthday in 2005, the day my husband, Robert, vanished. I remembered the morning clearly. The smell of fresh coffee, the sound of birds outside our small Ohio home, and Robert's warm smile as he kissed my forehead. "Happy birthday, love," he said, handing me a single rose. That was the last time I saw him. He left for work and never came back. No note, no call, nothing. For 20 years, I carried that pain, a heavy stone in my chest, wondering if I'd ever know the truth. Then, on my 65th birthday in 2022, a card slipped through my mailbox. My hands shook as I opened it. In Robert's handwriting it read, "I never left, look in the basement." My heart stopped. The basement? We never used it. It was locked, always had been. What was he hiding? If you want to hear more stories like mine, stories that pull at your heart and keep you guessing, please subscribe to this channel. Your support keeps these tales alive. The card felt like a ghost in my hands. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at those words, my mind racing. Robert was gone, the police said so. They searched for months, found nothing. No trace of his car, no bank records, no clues. I spent years blaming myself. Did I miss something? Was he unhappy? My daughter, Emily, was only 15 then. She'd cry herself to sleep, asking why her dad left us. I had no answers. Now this card brought it all back. The hurt, the questions, the sleepless nights. I walked to the basement door, a heavy wooden thing in the corner of the house. It was always locked, and Robert kept the key. "It's just storage," he'd say whenever I asked. I never pushed. Why didn't I? My fingers brushed the cold doorknob, and a chill ran through me. What was down there? Was this a cruel joke? I didn't have the key, but I needed to know. I called Emily, my voice shaking. "Mom, what's wrong?" she asked. I told her about the card. "Don't go down there alone," she said. "Wait for me." But waiting felt impossible. I grabbed a flashlight from the kitchen drawer and stood at the door again. My heart pounded like it did 20 years ago when the police first knocked. I remembered their words. "Mrs. Miller, we're doing everything we can." They stopped looking after a year. Everyone moved on, everyone but me. The card was proof I wasn't crazy. Robert was trying to tell me something. I thought about breaking the door down, but it was solid oak. Instead, I went to Robert's old toolbox in the garage. He was a mechanic, always tinkering. Maybe the key was there. I dug through rusty screws and wrenches, my hands trembling. Nothing. Then I noticed a small tin box tucked in the corner. My breath caught. I opened it, and there it was, a single brass key, shining like it was waiting for me. I held it tight, my mind spinning. Was Robert alive? Was he hiding all this time? The thought made my stomach twist. I loved him, but if he left me on purpose, what did that mean? Back at the basement door, I hesitated. The house was quiet, too quiet. I thought of calling my neighbor Linda, but she'd think I was losing it. Maybe I was. I slid the key into the lock. It fit perfectly. The click echoed in my ears. I turned the knob, and the door creaked open. A wave of musty air hit me, like the basement hadn't been touched in decades. My flashlight beam cut through the dark, showing dusty crates and cobwebs. I took a step down, then another. The stairs groaned under my weight. "Robert," I whispered, my voice shaking. No answer. My heart told me to keep going, but my legs felt like jelly. What if he was down there? What if he wasn't? I reached the bottom, and my light landed on something strange. A small wooden box in the corner, carved with my initials, SM. My blood ran cold. This wasn't here before. I was sure of it. I knelt by the box, my knees aching against the concrete floor. My fingers brushed the carved letters. It was beautiful, like something Robert would make. He loved woodworking, always crafting little gifts for me. Was this his? I lifted the lid, and inside was a stack of letters, yellowed with age. My name was on every envelope, written in Robert's neat script. My throat tightened. Letters? For me? Why hide them? I opened the first one, my hands shaking so bad I could barely read. "Susan, my love." It started. "If you're reading this, I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you." My eyes burned with tears. He was sorry? For what? Leaving? Lying? I wanted to scream, but I kept reading. The letter talked about his job, how he got mixed up with dangerous people. He didn't say who, but he wrote, "I had to protect you and Emily." Protect us? By disappearing? I felt angry, betrayed, but I couldn't stop. There were dozens of letters. I needed to know everything. I sat on the cold basement floor, the flashlight shaking in my hand. The letters from Robert felt alive, like he was whispering to me through the pages. My eyes stung with tears, but I couldn't stop reading. The second letter said, "Susan, I made a mistake. I trusted the wrong people at work. They threatened you and Emily. I had to go." My heart twisted. Threatened us? Why didn't he tell me? We could have faced it together. I wanted to believe him, but 20 years of pain screamed louder. I heard a car pull up outside. It was Emily. I stuffed the letters back in the box and climbed the stairs, my knees aching. The basement door slammed shut behind me, making me jump. "Mom," Emily called, stepping into the kitchen. Her face was pale, worried. "You okay? You look like you saw a ghost." I forced a smile, but my voice cracked. "I found something, Em. In the basement." Her eyes widened. "What? You went down there?" I nodded, showing her the key. "Your dad, he left letters." "For me." Emily sat across from me, her hands clenched. "Letters? What do they say?" I hesitated. Part of me wanted to protect her, like I did when she was a kid asking where Daddy went. But she was grown now, 32, with her own life. She deserved the truth. "He said he left to keep us safe," I told her. "Something about his job, dangerous people." Emily's face hardened. "Safe? He broke us, Mom. He left you crying every night. And me. I thought he didn't love me." Her voice broke, and I reached for her hand. "I know, honey. I thought that too." We sat in silence, the weight of those years pressing down. I handed her the first letter. She read it, her lips trembling. "This doesn't make sense," she said. "Why hide letters? Why now?" I didn't know. But the card, the key, the box. It felt like Robert was leading me somewhere. I pulled out another letter, dated a year after he vanished. "Susan," it read. "I'm still here, watching from afar. I can't come back. They're still looking for me." My stomach dropped. Watching? Was he in Ohio all this time? I felt sick, like the man I loved was a stranger. Emily grabbed my arm. "Mom, this is creepy. What if someone's messing with you? What if it's not Dad?" Her words hit hard. A prank? No, the handwriting was his. I'd know it anywhere. But doubt crept in. I thought of calling the police, but what would I say? My missing husband sent me a card? They'd laugh. I looked at Emily. "We need to read them all," I said. "Every word." She nodded, but her eyes were scared. "Okay, but not here. Let's go to my place. It's safer." I didn't want to leave, but she was right. The house felt different now, like it was hiding secrets. We took the box to Emily's apartment, a small place across town. She made tea, and we spread the letters on her dining table. Each one was a piece of Robert's life I never knew. One said he worked late nights at the garage, fixing cars for men who paid in cash and asked no questions. "They weren't good people," he wrote. I got in too deep. I remembered those nights, waiting up for him, thinking he was just working hard. Was it all a lie? Emily read another, her voice shaking. "Mom, listen. If anything happens to me, check the safe in the basement." Safe. Did we have a safe? I froze. I didn't know about any safe. Robert never mentioned it. My mind raced back to the basement, the crates, the cobwebs. Did I miss something? "We have to go back," I said. Emily shook her head. "Not tonight. It's late, and you're exhausted." But sleep was impossible. Robert's words haunted me. I lay on Emily's couch, staring at the ceiling. The letters painted a man I didn't recognize. He wrote about guilt, fear, and love for us. "I see you gardening, Susan," one said. "You're still beautiful." My heart ached. He saw me? Where was he? I wanted to hate him, but part of me still loved the man who gave me that rose on my birthday. By morning, I was drained but determined. Emily drove us back to the house. The basement door loomed like a warning. We went down together, the flashlight beam bouncing off the walls. I checked every corner, every crate. Then Emily gasped. Mom, look. Behind a stack of boxes was a small metal safe, rusted but intact. My pulse raced. How did I miss this? The safe had a combination lock. Try your birthday, Emily said. I spun the dial. October 15th, 60. It clicked open. Inside was a single envelope, thicker than the others. My hands shook as I tore it open. A photo fell out, Robert, older, standing by a lake. On the back he wrote, "I'm still alive." My knees buckled. He was out there, and he wanted me to find him. The photo of Robert slipped from my hands and hit the basement floor. My heart pounded so loud I thought Emily could hear it. He looked older, his hair gray, but those eyes, those were the eyes I fell in love with. Mom, you okay? Emily asked, kneeling beside me. I couldn't speak. Alive? After 20 years? The words on the back, "I'm still alive," burned into my mind. I felt dizzy, like the walls were closing in. He's out there, Em, I whispered. Your dad, he didn't leave us. Emily's face twisted, a mix of anger and hope. Then why hide? Why let us think he was gone? She grabbed the photo, studying it. This lake, it looks familiar. Maybe it's close. My stomach churned. Close? Was Robert watching us all this time? The thought made my skin crawl, but I needed answers. I picked up the envelope again. Inside was a single sheet of paper, folded tight. My fingers shook as I opened it. Susan, the note read. If you found this, you're stronger than I ever was. I'm sorry for the pain. I'm in hiding, but I can't say where. Find the truth and you'll find me. My throat tightened. Stronger? He left me to raise Emily alone, to face the whispers in town, to cry myself to sleep. How dare he call me strong now? But his words pulled me in, like a puzzle I had to solve. Emily read over my shoulder. This is crazy, Mom. What truth? And why a photo? I didn't know, but the lake was a clue. We need to figure out where this is, I said. Emily nodded, but her voice was sharp. And then what? Forgive him? He lied to us. I touched her cheek. I don't know, honey, but I have to know why. She sighed, wiping her eyes. Okay, let's start with the lake. We went upstairs, the photo and note clutched in my hands. The house felt different, like Robert's ghost was everywhere. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the lake in the picture. It had a wooden dock, a few tall trees, and a hill in the background. Something about it tugged at my memory, but I couldn't place it. Emily pulled out her laptop. Let's search lakes in Ohio, she said, typing fast. We scrolled through images, but nothing matched. My head hurt and doubt crept in. What if this was a dead end? I thought of calling Linda, my neighbor. She knew every spot around town. Linda might help, I told Emily. She frowned. You sure? She talks a lot. I smiled faintly. Yeah, but she's lived here forever. I dialed her number, my heart racing. Susan, you okay? Linda answered, her voice warm. I told her about the photo, leaving out the heavy stuff. A lake with a dock in a hill, I said. Any ideas? She paused. Sounds like Willow Lake, 20 miles out. You and Robert went there once, didn't you? Willow Lake. My breath caught. Robert took me there when we were dating, a picnic under the stars. I could still hear his laugh, feel his hand in mine. Was that where he was hiding? I thanked Linda and hung up. Emily looked at me, eyes wide. You think he's there? I shrugged, my chest tight. Maybe. Or maybe it's another clue. We decided to drive to Willow Lake the next morning. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing Robert's face in the photo, older but alive. Why didn't he come back? What was he running from? I got up and reread the note. Find the truth, he wrote. What truth? His job. Those dangerous people? I remembered him coming home late, tired, saying the garage was busy. Was he lying even then? My heart ached for the man I thought I knew. Morning came, and Emily drove us to Willow Lake. The road was quiet, lined with trees. My stomach twisted with every mile. What would we find? The lake came into view, sparkling under the sun. The dock was there, just like the photo. We parked and walked to the shore. It was peaceful, but I felt anything but calm. Now what? Emily asked, scanning the area. I didn't know. I walked to the dock, the photo in my hand. The hill matched the trees too. Then I saw it, a small carving on the dock's edge. R+S. Robert and Susan. My knees went weak. He was here. Or he had been. Emily grabbed my arm. Mom, look. She pointed to a man fishing nearby, his back to us. He looked like Robert, same build, same gray hair. My heart stopped. Was it him? I took a step forward, my voice barely a whisper. Robert. The man turned, and my world froze. His face wasn't Robert's. Disappointment crushed me, but the carving told me we were close. I had to keep going. The carving of R+S on the dock stared back at me. A ghost from a life I thought was gone. My fingers traced the letters, rough under my touch, and I felt 20 years melt away. Robert carved this when we were young, laughing under the stars at Willow Lake. Now it felt like a clue, a breadcrumb in a trail I didn't understand. Emily stood beside me, her eyes scanning the water. Mom, what does this mean? Was Dad here? Her voice was tight, like she was holding back tears. I wanted to hug her, to tell her everything would be okay, but I wasn't sure myself. I don't know, Em. I said, my throat dry. But he left this for us to find. The man fishing nearby walked away, and I felt foolish for thinking he was Robert. My heart was a mess, hope, anger, and fear all tangled up. I clutched the photo, the one of Robert by this lake, and looked at the hill in the background. Maybe the answer was there. Emily pulled out her phone, snapping pictures of the carving and the dock. We need to keep track of everything, she said. I nodded, but my mind was elsewhere. The note said, find the truth and you'll find me. What truth? Why make me chase shadows? I thought of Robert's letters, his talk of dangerous people. Was he still running? Or was he gone for good? And this was his way of saying goodbye. I felt a tear slip down my cheek, and Emily noticed. Mom, don't cry, she said, her voice soft. We'll figure this out. Together. I squeezed her hand, grateful for her strength. She was so much like her dad, stubborn, brave. Let's check the hill, I said, pointing to the slope in the photo. Maybe there was another clue, something we missed. We walked up the hill, the grass crunching under our shoes. The air was warm, but I felt cold inside. Every step made my chest tighter, like I was walking toward something I wasn't ready for. At the top, we found a small clearing with a view of the lake below. It was beautiful, but I didn't care. I was looking for answers. Emily wandered to a cluster of trees, then stopped. Mom, come here, she called. My heart jumped. I hurried over and saw what she found. A metal box half buried in the dirt, rusted but locked. It was small, like a cash box, with a padlock. My breath caught. Another lock? Another secret? This has to be his, Emily said, her eyes wide. I knelt beside it, my hands shaking. The box felt heavy, important. We need to open it, I said, but we didn't have the key. Emily looked at me, determined. We'll break it open. I'm not leaving without knowing. We drove to a hardware store nearby, my mind racing. The box sat in the back seat, taunting me. I kept seeing Robert's face in the photo, his tired eyes. Was he trying to protect us, like he said? Or was this a game? At the store, we bought a bolt cutter. The cashier, a young guy, raised an eyebrow. You ladies breaking into something, he joked. Emily forced a smile. Just old junk, she said. I stayed quiet, my stomach in knots. Back at the lake, we parked near the hill. Emily cut the padlock with a grunt, and the box popped open. Inside was a journal, worn and stained, with Robert's initials on the cover. My heart pounded. A journal? Why hide it here? I opened it, and the first page made me gasp. Susan, if you're reading this, I'm either gone or too scared to face you. I love you. Always will. My eyes burned. Love? After leaving us? I wanted to throw the journal away, but I couldn't. Emily read over my shoulder, her breath shaky. Mom, this is heavy. I nodded, flipping through the pages. Robert wrote about his last days before he vanished. He worked for a man named Eddie, someone who ran shady deals through the garage. Eddie knew I wanted out, Robert wrote. He said if I left, he'd come for you and Emily. My blood ran cold. Was Eddie still out there? I looked at Emily, her face pale. Dad was scared, she whispered. He didn't just leave. I wanted to believe her, but anger bubbled up. He should have told me, I said, my voice breaking. We could have fought this together. The journal mentioned Willow Lake, how Robert came here to think, to plan. One entry said, I left a gift for Susan. She'll know where. A gift? My mind went to the carving, the dock. Was there more? I closed the journal, my hands trembling. We need to go back to the dock, I said. Emily agreed, but her eyes were worried. What if someone's watching us? She asked. The thought sent a shiver down my spine. We walked back to the dock, the journal tucked under my arm. The sun was setting, casting long shadows over the lake. I felt exposed, like eyes were on us. At the dock, I searched for anything, a mark, a hiding spot. Then I saw it. A loose board near the carving. My heart raced. I pried it up, and beneath was a small cloth bag. Inside was a locket, one I'd lost years ago, with a photo of me and Robert inside. A note was tucked in. Susan, this is my heart. Keep it safe. Tears streamed down my face. He kept this? After all this time? Emily hugged me, crying too. He loved you, Mom, she said. But love wasn't enough. I needed the truth. The journal mentioned Eddie again, saying he lived nearby. Was he the key? I looked at the lake, the water dark now. Robert was out there, or his secrets were. I wasn't stopping until I found them. The locket hung heavy in my hand, its tiny photo of me and Robert staring back like a memory I couldn't trust. The note said it was his heart, but my own heart was breaking all over again. I stood on the dock at Willow Lake, the water dark and still, while Emily held the journal, her eyes red from crying. Mom, what now? She asked, her voice small. I didn't have an answer. The journal mentioned Eddie, the man who scared Robert into hiding. If Eddie was still around, he might know where Robert was, or what happened to him. My stomach twisted at the thought of facing someone dangerous, but I'd come too far to stop. We need to find Eddie, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Emily's face paled. Mom, that's risky. What if he's trouble? I looked at her, my daughter, so strong yet so scared. I know him, but I need the truth. For us. She nodded, clutching the journal tighter. We drove home in silence, the locket in my pocket, the journal on the seat between us. The house felt strange when we walked in, like it was holding its breath. I sat at the kitchen table, spreading out the journal's pages. Robert wrote about Eddie's house, a place near the old mill outside town. Eddie's got eyes everywhere, one entry said. He knows I'm writing this. My skin prickled. Was Eddie watching us now? I thought of the card, the one that started this all. I never left. Look in the basement. Was it really Robert, or was someone playing with me? I pushed the thought away. It had to be him. I looked at Emily, who was making coffee, her hands shaky. Em, you don't have to come with me, I said. She turned, eyes fierce. No way, Mom. I'm not letting you do this alone. I smiled, my heart swelling. She was my rock, just like Robert used to be. The next morning, we drove to the old mill. The journal didn't give an address, but it mentioned a red barn near Eddie's place. My hands gripped the steering wheel. My nerves on edge. The mill was run down, surrounded by overgrown fields. We spotted the barn, faded but red, next to a small house with boarded windows. My heart pounded. Was this it? Emily grabbed my arm. Mom, this place gives me the creeps. Maybe we should call the police. I shook my head. They didn't help before. They won't now. I parked a little ways off, and we walked toward the house, the journal tucked in my bag. The air was thick, like a storm was coming. I knocked on the door, my knuckles trembling. No answer. I knocked again, louder. Hello? Anyone home? I called. The door creaked open, and a man stood there, tall, gray-haired, with cold eyes. My breath caught. Was this Eddie? Can I help you? The man asked, his voice rough. I swallowed, trying to sound calm. I'm Susan Miller. I'm looking for Eddie. It's about my husband, Robert. The man's eyes narrowed, and my stomach dropped. Don't know any Robert, he said, starting to close the door. Emily stepped forward. Please, sir. He's been gone 20 years. We found his journal. It mentioned you. The man froze, then opened the door wider. "Come in," he said, his tone flat. My legs felt like lead, but I followed him inside, Emily close behind. The house smelled of dust and cigarette smoke. We sat on a worn couch, and the man leaned against a table, watching us. "I'm Eddie," he said. My heart stopped. It was him. "Your husband caused me a lot of trouble," he went on. "Got in over his head, then ran." I clenched my fists. "Ran from what? You threatened him, didn't you?" Eddie smirked, but his eyes were hard. "He owed me. Tried to back out. I don't take kindly to that." I felt sick, but I pressed on. "Where is he? Is he alive?" Eddie's smirk faded. "Last I heard, he was hiding out west. But that was years ago. People like him don't last long." My chest tightened. Out west? Was Robert still running? Or was he gone? Emily grabbed my hand, her voice shaking. "You're lying. You know where he is." Eddie laughed, a cold sound. "Believe what you want, kid. I'm done with him." He stood, signaling us to leave. My mind raced. Was he telling the truth? As we walked out, I noticed a photo on the wall. Men standing by a car, one of them Robert. My blood ran cold. I grabbed Emily's arm, whispering, "Did you see that?" She nodded, eyes wide. "Outside," she said. "Mom, he's hiding something." "That photo. Dad was here." My heart raced. Eddie knew more than he was saying. I looked back at the house, the boarded windows like eyes watching us. We weren't done here. I felt a fire in me, a strength I didn't know I had. Robert left me clues for a reason. I was going to find him, no matter what Eddie or anyone else hid. The locket in my pocket felt warm, like it was guiding me forward. The car hummed as we drove away from Eddie's house, but my mind was screaming. That photo on his wall, Robert standing by a car, smiling like nothing was wrong, haunted me. My hands gripped the locket in my pocket, its weight grounding me. Emily stared out the window, her face pale. "Mom, Eddie's lying," she said, her voice low. "That photo proves Dad was connected to him. Why else would it be there?" I nodded, my throat tight. Eddie's cold eyes and smug grin told me he knew more than he let on. Was Robert really out west, like he said? Or was he closer, hidden somewhere in Ohio? The journal, the locket, the carving. They were pieces of a puzzle, and I felt Robert guiding me, even if I didn't understand why. "We need to go back to the journal," I said. "There's got to be more." Emily sighed, rubbing her eyes. "I'm scared, Mom. What if this gets dangerous?" I reached for her hand. "I'm scared too, Em. But I can't stop now." Back at my house, the kitchen felt too small, like the walls were listening. I spread the journal on the table, flipping to entries I hadn't read. One caught my eye, dated 2 years after Robert vanished. "Susan, I saw you at the market today," it read. "You were buying apples, smiling at the cashier. I wanted to run to you, but I couldn't. Eddie's men are still watching." My heart stopped. He was here? In town? I felt sick, betrayed. All those years I mourned him, and he was close, too scared to come home? Tears stung my eyes. Emily read the entry, her jaw tight. "This is messed up," she said. "Why didn't he fight for us?" I shook my head. No words left. The journal mentioned a place called the Shed, where Robert hid things from Eddie. "It's by the old tracks," he wrote. "If you need proof, it's there." Proof? Of what? My pulse raced. The train tracks weren't far, maybe a mile from the mill. I looked at Emily, her face torn between anger and hope. "We have to check the Shed," I said. She hesitated. "Mom, what if Eddie's men are real? What if they're still out there?" Her fear mirrored mine, but I thought of the card. I never left. Robert was counting on me. "We'll be careful," I promised. "But I need to know what he left." Emily nodded, grabbing her jacket. "Okay, but we stick together." We drove to the tracks, the sky gray and heavy. The area was quiet, overgrown with weeds. Old train cars rusted in the distance, and a small shed stood alone, its door hanging loose. My stomach churned. This was it. I grabbed a flashlight from the car, my hands shaky. "Stay close," I told Emily. She nodded, her eyes scanning the shadows. The shed smelled of damp wood and oil. Inside it was cluttered, boxes, tools, and dusty tarps. I searched every corner, my heart pounding. Then I saw it. A metal tin under a shelf, marked with R+S. My breath caught. Another carving, like the dock. I pulled the tin out, my fingers trembling. Emily knelt beside me. "Open it," she whispered. Inside was a stack of photos and a small key. The photos showed Robert with men I didn't know, some at the garage, some by the mill. One had Eddie younger, smirking at the camera. My blood ran cold. Proof. This was what Robert meant. The key was tiny, like for a lockbox. No note, no explanation. I felt a mix of relief and frustration. "What does this unlock?" Emily asked, holding the key. I didn't know, but it was another step. I tucked the photos and key in my bag, my mind racing. "We need to figure out what Eddie's hiding," I said. Emily's face hardened. "He's dangerous, Mom. We can't just walk back in there." She was right, but the photos changed everything. Robert wasn't just running. He was caught in something big, something that kept him from us. As we left the shed, I heard a twig snap. My heart jumped. I grabbed Emily's arm, pulling her behind a rusted train car. "Someone's here," I whispered. We crouched, barely breathing. Footsteps crunched closer, then stopped. A man's voice muttered, "Nobody's here." My blood froze. Was it Eddie's men? The journal's warning echoed in my head. The footsteps faded and we waited, my knees aching against the ground. When it was quiet, we ran to the car, my heart in my throat. Emily drove, her hands shaking. "Mom, this is getting real," she said, her voice breaking. "What if they're after us now?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. The locket felt heavy in my pocket, like Robert's love was still with me, but so was his danger. Back home, I locked the doors, my hands trembling. The photos and key lay on the table, staring at me. I picked up one photo, Robert's face tired but alive. "Why didn't you trust me?" I whispered, tears falling. Emily hugged me, her own tears warm against my shoulder. "We'll find him, Mom," she said. But I wasn't sure if I wanted to find him, or the truth he'd hidden all these years. The key glinted in the light, promising answers, but also more pain. I had to keep going for Emily, for me, for the life we lost. The key sat on my kitchen table, small but heavy with secrets. I couldn't stop staring at it, wondering what it unlocked. My heart was a storm. Hope, fear, and anger swirling together. Emily sat across from me, flipping through the photos from the shed. Robert's face stared back from everyone. A reminder of the man I loved and lost. "Mom, these guys look rough," Emily said, pointing to the men with Robert. "Eddie's in half of them. What was Dad mixed up in?" Her voice trembled, and I saw the little girl who used to ask why her dad didn't come home. I reached for her hand. "I don't know, Em. But we're close. This key, it's got to mean something." She nodded, but her eyes were worried. "What if it's dangerous? Those footsteps at the shed, someone's watching us." My stomach twisted. She was right. We were in deep, and I felt Robert's shadow over every step. I picked up the journal again, desperate for clues. One entry near the end caught my eye. "Susan, if you find the key, check the bank. Our old account. I left something for you." The bank? We had a joint account at First Ohio, but I closed it years ago when the money ran dry. Did Robert hide something there? My mind raced. A safe deposit box? I never knew about one, but Robert kept so many secrets. "Em, we need to go to the bank," I said, my voice shaky. She frowned. "What bank? You said Dad's account was gone." I showed her the entry. "Maybe there's a box, something he left." Her eyes widened. "Okay, but we go first thing tomorrow. I don't like being out at night, not after the shed." I agreed, but sleep felt impossible. The key burned a hole in my thoughts, and the photos of Robert with Eddie made my skin crawl. That night, I lay awake, the locket in my hand. I opened it, staring at the tiny photo of us, young and happy. "Why, Robert?" I whispered. "Why didn't you tell me?" Tears fell, soaking my pillow. I thought of our life before he vanished. Dinners together, Emily's school plays, quiet nights on the porch. Was it all a lie? The journal said he was protecting us, but it felt like betrayal. By morning, I was exhausted but determined. Emily drove us to First Ohio Bank, the key in my purse. The bank was busy, people bustling in and out. At the counter, I spoke to a young teller named Sarah. "I'm Susan Miller," I said. "My husband, Robert, had an account here. I think there's a safe deposit box." Sarah checked her computer, her brow furrowing. "Mrs. Miller, there's a box under your name, but it hasn't been accessed since 2005. My heart leaped. "Can I see it?" She nodded, leading us to a vault. The vault was cold, lined with metal boxes. Sarah pulled out a small one, number 142, and set it on a table. "You'll need your key," she said. My hands shook as I pulled the key from my purse. It fit perfectly. The lock clicked, and I lifted the lid. Inside was a single envelope, thick and sealed, with Susan written in Robert's handwriting. My throat tightened. Another letter? Emily grabbed my arm. "Open it, Mom." I tore it open, my fingers clumsy. Inside were papers, legal documents, bank records, and a note. "Susan," the note read, "this is the truth. Eddie's men were smuggling through the garage. I wanted out, but they wouldn't let me. I hid evidence here to keep you safe. If I'm gone, give this to the police." My blood ran cold. Smuggling? Robert was caught in a crime ring? The papers listed names, dates, and deals. Eddie's name was everywhere. I felt dizzy, like the ground was slipping away. Emily read the note, her face pale. "Mom, this is big. Dad was, what, a whistleblower?" I didn't know what to call him. Hero? Coward? The documents were proof he tried to do right, but he left us to suffer. "We need to take this to the police," I said, my voice firm. Emily hesitated. "What if Eddie finds out? He's still out there." Her fear was mine, but I thought of Robert's words. "You're stronger than I ever was." I had to be strong now. We left the bank, the envelope in my bag, my heart pounding. In the car, Emily's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and gasped. "Mom, it's a text from an unknown number." She showed me the screen. "Stop digging or you'll regret it." My stomach dropped. Someone new. Eddie. His men? I grabbed Emily's hand, my voice shaking. "We're not stopping," I said. "Your dad left this for us. We owe him the truth." She nodded, tears in her eyes. As we drove home, the world felt heavier. The envelope was a ticking bomb, proof that could ruin Eddie, or us. I thought of Robert, out there or gone, his life tangled in lies to protect us. The locket pressed against my chest, a reminder of his love, but also his mistakes. Emily broke the silence. "Mom, what if Dad's still alive? What if he's waiting for us to find him?" Her voice was small, hopeful. I wanted to believe it, but hope hurt too much. "If he is, we'll find him," I promised, though I wasn't sure. The text haunted me, a warning we couldn't ignore. Someone was watching, and the truth was closer than ever. I looked at the road ahead, my heart heavy but fierce. Robert's secrets had torn us apart, but they were also bringing us together. I wasn't just Susan Miller anymore. I was a woman fighting for her family, and no one was going to stop me. The threatening text glowed on Emily's phone, its words like a knife in my chest. "Stop digging or you'll regret it." My hands shook as I held the envelope from the bank, the papers inside heavy with Robert's truth. We sat in the car, the engine off, the world outside too quiet. Emily's eyes were wide, her voice barely a whisper. "Mom, who sent this?" "Eddie." I wanted to say no, to calm her, but my gut screamed she was right. Eddie's cold stare, the photo of Robert on his wall, it all pointed to him. My heart raced, torn between fear and a fire I couldn't explain. Robert's words from the note echoed. "You're stronger than I ever was." I had to be strong now for Emily, for the life he stole from us. "We can't stop," I said, my voice firm despite the panic. "Your dad left us this evidence for a reason." Emily nodded, but her hands trembled. "Okay, but we need a plan. We can't just walk into trouble." We drove home, the envelope and journal in my bag, the locket warm against my chest. The house felt unsafe, like eyes were watching through the windows. I locked the doors and checked the curtains, my nerves frayed. Emily sat at the kitchen table, staring at the text. "Should we tell the police?" she asked. I hesitated. The police gave up on Robert years ago, calling him a runaway. Would they believe me now with the journal, photos, and papers? I pulled out the documents, spreading them out. Names, dates, deals, Eddie's smuggling ring laid bare. Robert wrote it all down, risking everything. We'll go to the police, I said. But first, we need to know what we're dealing with. I grabbed the journal, flipping to a page I'd skimmed before. Susan, it read. If you have the evidence, find Tom. He's the only one I trust. He knows everything. Tom. My mind spun. Tom Harper, Robert's old friend from the garage? I hadn't seen Tom in years. He moved away after Robert vanished, or so I thought. The journal didn't say where he was, but it mentioned a bar he liked, Rusty's, on the edge of town. We need to find Tom. I told Emily, my voice urgent. She frowned. Mom, this is getting crazy. What if Tom's part of it? Her fear was mine, but I remembered Tom's kind eyes, how he brought Emily candy when she was little. Robert trusted him, I said. That's enough for now. We decided to go to Rusty's that evening, hoping Tom was still around. Before we left, I hid the envelope in a drawer, my hands shaking. The text kept replaying in my mind. Someone knew we were close, and it scared me more than I could say. Emily hugged me, her arms tight. We're in this together, Mom, she said. I nodded, tears stinging my eyes. Her strength kept me going, even when I wanted to give up. Rusty's was a dim, smoky bar, the kind where people minded their own business. My heart pounded as we walked in, the locket in my pocket like a shield. The bartender, a gruff man with a beard, eyed us. What do you want? He asked. I swallowed. I'm looking for Tom Harper. Is he here? The bartender's face changed, just for a second, like he knew something. Tom? Haven't seen him in a while, he said too quick. My gut told me otherwise. I leaned closer. Please, it's about my husband, Robert Miller. He's missing. The bartender's eyes softened, but he shook his head. Sorry, lady. Try somewhere else. Emily grabbed my arm. Mom, let's go, she whispered. But as we turned, a man in the corner stood up, tall, older, with gray hair and a familiar face. My breath caught. Tom. Susan. Tom said, his voice rough but kind. My knees went weak. Tom, it's you, I said, my voice breaking. He walked over, his eyes scanning the room like he was nervous. What are you doing here? He asked. I pulled him to a quiet table, Emily close behind. Robert's alive, I said, the words spilling out. He left me clues, letters, photos, evidence. He said, you know the truth. Tom's face paled, and he looked away. Susan, you shouldn't be here, he said, his voice low. It's not safe. My heart sank. Not safe? Tom, I found papers about Eddie's smuggling. Robert's in trouble, isn't he? Tom rubbed his face, his hands shaking. Robert was my friend, he said. He got in deep with Eddie's crew. Tried to get out, but they don't let you walk away. Emily leaned in, her voice sharp. Where is he? Do you know? Tom hesitated, then sighed. Last I heard, he was in Nevada hiding. But that was years ago. Eddie's got long arms, Susan. You digging this up, it's stirring things. My mind reeled. Nevada? Robert was halfway across the country? Or was he? The card, the locket, the carving, they were all here, in Ohio. I grabbed Tom's arm. Tom, please. I got a text today, telling me to stop. Is Eddie watching us? Tom's eyes widened. A text? Susan, you need to back off. Eddie's not the only one involved. There's others, big players. My stomach dropped. Big players? What had Robert gotten into? I felt the locket, its warmth steadying me. I can't back off, I said, my voice fierce. Robert left this for me to find. I need the truth. Tom looked at Emily, then back at me. You're stubborn just like him, he said, almost smiling. All right. There's a storage unit, Robert's. He kept backups of everything, more evidence. It's on Route 12, Unit 19. But if you go, be careful. They're watching. My heart raced. Another clue. But the text's warning loomed. And Tom's fear was real. As we left Rusty's, I felt eyes on us, the night darker than before. Emily grabbed my hand. Mom, this is scary, but I'm with you. I squeezed her hand, my heart full. Robert's secrets were dangerous, but I was stronger than ever, and I wasn't alone. The night air felt thick as we left Rusty's. Tom's words ringing in my ears. A storage unit on Route 12, Unit 19, holding more of Robert's secrets. My heart pounded with hope and dread. Emily drove, her knuckles white on the wheel. "Mom, are we really doing this?" she asked, her voice shaky. "That text. Tom's warning, it's not safe." I clutched the locket in my pocket, its familiar weight steadying me. "I know, Em," I said. "But your dad left us a trail. We're so close to the truth." She glanced at me, her eyes wet. What if the truth hurts more? Her question cut deep. I'd been asking myself the same thing since the card arrived. But I thought of Robert's note. "You're stronger than I ever was." I had to keep going for Emily, for the family we used to be. "We'll face it together," I promised, squeezing her hand. We didn't go straight to the storage unit. The text, "Stop digging or you'll regret it," loomed like a shadow. Instead, we went home, locking the doors and checking the windows. The house felt like a trap, every creak making me jump. I spread the photos and papers on the kitchen table, staring at Robert's face. The man I loved, caught in a web of lies. Emily sat beside me, reading the journal again. "Mom, listen," she said, her voice urgent. "Dad wrote, if you find the unit, use the code 101560. That's your birthday, right?" My breath caught. My birthday, the day he vanished. Was it a coincidence or another clue? "Yeah," I said, my throat tight. "We go tomorrow, first light. But we need to be smart." Emily nodded, but her face was pale. What if someone's following us? I didn't answer. The fear was real, but so was my need to know. That night, I barely slept. I kept seeing Robert's tired eyes in the photos, hearing his words in the journal. "I love you. Always will." Did he mean it? Or was it guilt talking? I thought of our last morning together, the rose he gave me, his kiss on my forehead. My heart ached for that Robert, not the one hiding from Eddie's men. By dawn, I was up, the locket around my neck like armor. Emily was quiet as we drove to Route 12, the storage facility a gray speck in the distance. The lot was empty, just rows of metal units under a cloudy sky. My stomach twisted as we parked near Unit 19. "Stay close," I told Emily, grabbing a flashlight. She nodded, her eyes scanning the lot. The unit's door was rusted, a keypad glowing faintly. I typed 101560, my fingers trembling. The lock clicked, and the door groaned open. My heart pounded. What was inside? The unit was small, packed with boxes and a dusty tarp. The air smelled of mildew, like it hadn't been opened in years. I shone the flashlight, my hands shaky. Emily pointed to a box in the corner marked SM. My initials. My blood ran cold. Another box, just like the basement. I pulled it open, and inside was a recorder, a stack of tapes, and a letter. My throat tightened. A recorder? I grabbed the letter, Robert's handwriting unmistakable. "Susan, if you're here, you're braver than me. These tapes are my confession. Play them, but be careful. Eddie's closer than you think." My knees buckled. Confession? I looked at Emily, her face pale. "Mom, this is intense," she said, picking up the recorder. I nodded, my mind racing. What did Robert confess? And why warn me about Eddie now? We took the box to the car, too nervous to stay in the open. Back home, I locked the doors and sat with Emily at the table. My hands shook as I pressed play on the recorder. Robert's voice filled the room, rough but familiar. "Susan, Emily, I'm sorry," he said. "I messed up. Eddie's crew used the garage for smuggling, drugs, money worse. I wanted out, but they threatened you both. I ran to keep you safe." My eyes burned with tears. His voice was like a ghost, pulling me back to our old life. The tape went on, detailing deals, names, places. Robert sounded scared, broken. "I left evidence to stop them," he said. "But Eddie found out. If I'm gone, he got me." Emily gasped, grabbing my arm. "Mom, Dad was trying to fix it." I nodded, but anger surged. Fix it? By leaving us? The tape ended, but there were more. I played another, my heart heavy. Robert talked about hiding, moving from town to town. "I saw you once, Susan," he said. "At church, in that blue dress." I cried all night. My chest ached. He was there, watching, but never came back. Why? Emily wiped her eyes. He loved us, Mom. But he was so scared. I wanted to scream, to tell him fear wasn't enough. The last tape was different. Susan, Robert said, his voice weak. If you hear this, I'm probably gone. Eddie's men found me. But you're my strength. Take the evidence to the police. End this. The tape clicked off, and silence swallowed us. I felt empty, like part of me died with his voice. Emily hugged me, sobbing. He's gone, isn't he? She whispered. I didn't know. The tapes were proof, but also a goodbye. Before we could process it, my phone buzzed. Another text, same unknown number. You were warned. Unit 19 was a mistake. My blood froze. They knew. Emily's eyes widened. Mom, they're tracking us. Panic hit me, but so did resolve. Robert gave his life for this evidence. I wasn't letting Eddie win. We go to the police now, I said, grabbing the tapes and papers. Emily nodded, her face fierce despite the fear. As we packed everything, I heard a car slow outside. My heart stopped. I peeked through the curtain. A dark sedan idling. Was it Eddie's men? I grabbed Emily's hand, my voice low. We leave through the back. Now. We ran, the locket bouncing against my chest, Robert's voice still in my head. The truth was in my hands, but danger was closer than ever. I wasn't just fighting for answers anymore. I was fighting for our lives. My heart pounded as Emily and I slipped out the back door, the tapes and papers stuffed in my bag. The dark sedan idled out front, its engine a low growl in the quiet night. I grabbed Emily's hand, her fingers cold but firm. Stay low, I whispered, leading her through the backyard, past the garden I used to tend with Robert. The locket bounced against my chest, a reminder of his love and his secrets. We crouched behind the shed, my breath shaky. Mom, what now? Emily asked, her voice barely audible. The police station was a mile away, but walking felt like walking into a trap. We get to your car, I said. It's parked down the street. She nodded, her eyes wide with fear but fierce with resolve. I felt a surge of pride. My daughter was Brocksave just like me. Robert's words rang in my head. You're stronger than I ever was. I had to prove him right. We crept along the fence, staying in the shadows. The sedan's headlights flicked on, and my stomach dropped. It was moving, slow, like it was searching. Run, I hissed, pulling Emily toward the street. We sprinted, my knees aching, my bag slapping against my side. Emily's car was parked under a tree hidden from view. We dove inside, and she fumbled with the keys. Come on, she muttered. The engine roared to life, and we peeled out, the sedan nowhere in sight. My heart didn't slow. Head to the police, I said, clutching the bag. Emily glanced at me, her face pale. Mom, what if they don't believe us? It's just tapes and papers. I thought of the police dismissing Robert's case years ago. But these tapes were his voice, his truth. They'll listen, I said, hoping I was right. The locket felt warm, like Robert was with me. The police station was lit up, a beacon in the dark. We parked and ran inside, my bag heavy with evidence. At the desk, a tired officer named Jenkins looked up. Can I help you? He asked, eyeing us. My voice shook but held steady. I'm Susan Miller. My husband, Robert, disappeared in 2005. I have proof he was caught in a smuggling ring. Jenkins raised an eyebrow, but I pulled out the tapes, photos, and papers, spreading them on the counter. These are his confessions, I said. He named Eddie Coleman and others. They're still out there. Emily stepped forward, her voice fierce. We got threats. Someone's after us. Jenkins leaned in, his face serious now. Slow down. Let's hear these tapes. My heart leaped. They were listening. We sat in a small room, the recorder between us. Robert's voice filled the space, raw and broken, detailing Eddie's deals, the threats, his fear for us. Jenkins' eyes widened. This is big, he said, scribbling notes. We'll need to verify, but this matches an old case. As the tapes played, I felt Emily's hand in mine, her tears warm against my skin. Robert's voice was a knife, cutting through 20 years of pain. I love you, Susan, Emily, he said on the last tape. I'm sorry I failed you. My chest tightened. Failed. He fought in his way, but he left us to pick up the pieces. Jenkins paused the recorder. Mrs. Miller, we'll take it from here. Eddie Coleman's on our radar. We'll need you to stay safe. I nodded, relief mixing with fear. What about the threats? Emily asked. Jenkins handed us his card. Call me if anything happens. We'll put a car outside your house. We left the station. The weight of the evidence gone, but a new weight settling in. The truth was out, but was Robert alive? The locket pressed against me, and I wondered if I'd ever know. Back home, the house felt different, quieter. Emily made tea, her hands steadier now. Mom, you did it, she said, her voice soft. You found Dad's truth. I shook my head, tears falling. We did it, Em. Together. We sat at the table, the locket in my hands. I opened it, the tiny photo of us young and happy. I loved him, I said, my voice breaking. But I'm angry too. Emily hugged me, her arms tight. Me too. But he tried to make it right. She was right. Robert's evidence led to Eddie's arrest a week later, the news buzzing with the smuggling ring's takedown. The police found no trace of Robert, but Jenkins said the tapes saved lives, stopped a network that hurt many. I felt proud, but hollow. Was he out there still hiding? Or gone forever? I'd never know, and that hurt most. Months passed and life settled. Emily visited often, our bond stronger than ever. I gardened again, planting roses like the one Robert gave me. The locket stayed around my neck, a piece of him I couldn't let go. One day, I sat on the porch, the sun warm, and thought of his last tape. You're my strength, he said. I realized he was right. I faced Eddie's threats, chased clues, and found the truth. Not just his, but mine. I was Susan Miller, a woman who didn't give up, who fought for her family. The moral of my story hit me clear. Strength comes from facing the unknown, even when it hurts. You don't need all the answers to move forward, just the courage to keep going. I looked at the sky, a weight lifting. I forgive you, Robert, I whispered, tears falling but my heart lighter. Emily called from inside. Mom, dinner's ready. I smiled, stood, and walked into the life I'd rebuilt, stronger than ever. Moral lesson. Life's mysteries can break you, but real strength is choosing to face them, step by step, with love and courage. You don't need every answer to find peace, just the heart to keep moving forward.